Hey, muy buenas tardes, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. Bueno, mi gente, como siempre, first and foremost, muchísimas gracias a todos for you guys' words, prayers, and for your amazing support. De corazón se los agradezco. Now, to get into the story on hand, this is going to be a continuation on the last video I posted, which was about Chino Hernandez from Modesto. I was gonna put these two stories together, but I decided not to make it that long on you guys to get tired of me, and mainly so it makes a little bit more sense. Cause even though I do touch on a lot of things, I tend not to touch on a lot as well. If you guys get what I'm trying to say. But anyways, someone forward on me a little bit, you know, everything on Chino eventually hit the fan. It was revealed that he was one of them vatos. He was working with the Federicos. He was, you guys know. And he was able to not just fool camaradas, but he also fooled the pilis, right? To get to where he was at. So in a sense, it's why they felt that a good soldado that was, doing in his eyes a solid Billy's doings was put on the shine. They left him alone, right? But they took whatever little he had left and left him to do his thing in prison in Mexico, solo, right? But on the other side of the coin, when Chino was doing his thing, he was doing it alongside of Fonsi from Fresno. And, these are two pilis that if you really want to know a lot of, they're not out there like that. They prefer silencio and doing their thing, which is turn feria. At all means, right? And what I mean about this is that before a lot of the things that came out with Hernandez, Fonsi was working with a few bulldogs, and he was shielding them to the point where a lot of what's going on now was happening then. They were going into Sureño neighborhoods, at least in the area, up north, and they were being shielded by him. Basically, just don't ask, don't say, just follow what I'm putting out there, right? For example, in my city, there was a couple of this run-ins because he had a bulldog they called Green Eyes. He was a native, and he was under Fonsi. So he was going up there and not pushing his way, but he was letting it be known who he was favoring, right? And we're not talking about inactive, perro chatos. He was active. He was with it, right? He was, when it came to money, when we were doing things together, I guess, he felt to do things for Fonsi, right? Which he never detached himself from afterwards. So he was going up there moving Fonsi's jale, and same thing was going for Dopey, older bulldog. I remember the first time I met him that he came and told me who he was in contact with, and he was one of the first bulldogs that I personally seen in the system. He had a welder bird in one hand, and he was a cool dude. He was real famous, but it came as a shocking because they were walking with us at this time in Ironwood, right? is when that appeal came down and basically was being put out there that they couldn't walk amongst us no more. It was on site, so they got removed. But it's when I started seeing a lot of that them tecatos way. I say this because it's the best way to explain it, right? How a snake behaves. But because the appeal that eventually hit Ironwood wasn't only from Terco, but Fonsi was one of the ones that stamped it, right? And he knew real well that Dopey and Max were on the yard that were responding to him, right? They were moving the Halle and it was being bought by excuse me, Fonsi and Chino. They had a lot of those moves. For example, it was real relevant. For example, there was a young bulldog, Mono. Now, all I know they were perros, right? But I don't know none of their barrios, things like that. It was never to the extent of that female with them, right? Not because they weren't cubatos. It was just, well, you guys get it, the raza, whatever. But it was always up in the air, no hate or nothing. It was just, if you had common sense, you knew it wasn't gonna last, right? So, anyways, Mono, a couple times he got chin checked by his own homies for the same reason that he was moving a Billy's dope, right? When even though they were clicked up at this time with us, they were still more on that push where it was them. They had to do their own thing, which in a sense, it's a hard thing, right? You're doing things for one thing and then expect to break ties and everything when everything you're making fatty and doing things it's a hard thing to let go of, power, money, that's just, those are hard things to let go of. But in Pelican Bay, when you started hearing basically there was a bunch of Pilis. I'm not gonna go into nitpicking all of them, but they were pressing that line that it was coming back to him that at this time it was an open war with a norteño raza and so when it came back that these two Pilis weren't just messing with perro chatos. At this time it wasn't looked that frowned upon, right? Because in some sense we were aliados, but when it came to norteños it was a big issue because well, at this time it was an open war. So they were raza, but not in that sense, right? Of course, it's a lot different now, but anyways. But the thing that really jeopardized these Pilis is at this time is when you started hearing a lot about, that Northern Rider movement, right? And these guys they were having Northern Riders work for them on the calles. Literally work for them, like buy Halle from them and just, just push their stuff, period. In all the sense of the work, right? The word, excuse me. So that really mattered when it hit up there and it was being pressed on to the point that there was conversations that both of these Pilis were going to get pushed out. We're going to get their wings clipped, right? And I'm going to say, unfortunately, for Fonsi, is when everything came to light about Chino from Modesto. So basically, being that tecato that he's seen his opening to say like, look, I was doing this, and because Fonsi did have a lot of camaradas from Fresno working for him, you know, from Madera and from Long Beach, and you guys get it, a lot of vatos on the mainland at this time in Pelican Bay, and so he turned it around on Chino and said whatever this vato was doing is because he had esqueletos in that closet, and he was already doing shady stuff, right? Which was convenient for them. It's just the way they work, There ain't no type of loyalty amongst them. And he escaped. He escaped from hitting that brick wall, and to some sense, other pilis saw they could pour their anger towards this individual for being not just a rata, but just being one of those that he didn't know how to hold loyalty in whatever that sense of the word means towards in their organization, right? Because like I said, yeah, in my last story, it was just one of those that it was about what he was going to get out of it, which is in that sense every one of them, right? There's no difference. Things come out, but let's be real, I bet you there's more members that have something that they don't want to let out than those that are loyal to the bone. It's just reality, right? When it becomes power, dope fiending, and always having constantly those persons you're supposed to be loyal, trust your life to, always looking for that window to politic against you, to put a knife in your back. You're gonna hit them corners and start doing those shady stuff. It's just common sense, right? But Fonsi to do cleanup, for those that know what happened to young Mono, he put the word out there. I don't know if it was his son, nephew, I don't know. I'll be lying if I tell you, but he had him taken care of. I'll just say that, allegedly, like some people say, because again, I'm not on here for that. So there it went, a lot of homies felt for the reason that when Chino's issue got brought up, whoever was underneath them fell. And when Fonsi felt he was in the clear, he had to do a lot of cleanup. What that meant, there's no loyalty there. It's me, and only me. Whatever you do, not ever, is never gonna count. For all of those young ones out there thinking that you're gonna be worth something when push comes to shove, like in this case with Fonsi, he needed to cover his butt. So he greenlighted his own gente that felt that could be hurtful in the future. So again, these were solid camaradas that had never done nothing wrong, fell victim to a member's cowardice, because he was afraid that it was going to come out and he was going to eventually have to answer up for it, right? Even though he's never been a politiker, he's never been one of those, but he knew to take over his territory, it's going to be quick. Someone's was going to politic against him. So the best option is hit him. They come out, hit him again to either take their win or they go to that side where nobody's going to listen to him. At the same time, this was a member messing with them vatos on that side, putting money in their pockets, when in reality, you're not even supposed to pay mind to them in any sense of the word. That's why I laugh, Solid, so-called sureños come on the comments and they woof and woof and woof. But I upheld that policy in place everywhere I went. We don't do that. We don't acknowledge someone that you think is, especially wolf, man. Cause that's your butt. You know, that person everybody asked me for, if he went that way, he did. I got something to say in regards to him. Regardless of whatever he did in 2015, which, like I mentioned, is when I left. So he still has a lot of knowledge when it comes to this. He could actually really, really help if he wanted to, right? He's on here on a job trip, which is respectful. He put out a story where he's addressing it for the youth, right? And like I said, he has real good klecha, right? Cause it's exactly right. All you vatos on the street thinking you're solid, you're a hardcore sureño, you're doing this, and that. It don't mean not a damn thing. Always keep that in mind, man. When you go around minimizing those that would actually love you, for somebody that is gonna look for the first opportunity to remove you, to go to that side you so claim to hate so much, it's not a hard decision, right? Don't go out backwards. Don't do nothing a coward would do. That ain't why I'm here. But do value yourself, man. That's the most important thing. When you value yourself, you're able to see what's really valuable for you. These two individuals, they hurt a lot of camaradas. You see, they were imposing policies against sureños for doing things, for not following the program to the dot. And here was Fonsi, Chino being a rata, and that's the number one thing, right? But even if he wasn't, he was still meando fuera de la cazuela. What would have happened if his stuff never got found out? Then a whole bunch of politicking against him and Fonsi, a whole bunch of camaradas, booting up, lacing up, and hurting other camaradas for no reason. For two individuals trying to cover their tracks. But, even if that didn't happen, Fonsi still hurted a lot of camaradas for no reason but for his fear. There ain't no such thing as loyalty in prison. Because you guys gotta remember, in prison, the number one thing as a camarada that's moving the wheel, or as a member, the person you're gonna utilize the most to hurt someone is the person that's closer and that has more trust with the target. So what loyalty could be there? There ain't too many people that are going to say like, nah, I'm going to stay solid with him and let's ride it out. Going to pick up what they need to pick up and move on you. And then be like, damn, I can't believe I did this, but he did it. Remember that. The loyalty only comes from you staying loyal to yourself. But anyways, mi gente, I don't want to make this too long on you guys. And I really can't be sitting too long, so just pain, man. Pain. I feel alright, I lay down and everything cool, but I start forcing myself, and it's normal, they went up in my heart, and they said for 2 months I gotta get used to it, so I just wanted to touch in on you guys. I hope, again, I made sense to those youngsters out there, man. Just do know when you go inside, once one of these tecatos decides you're no good for him, not for the program, not for what you think, you're never going to be able to repair it. You're going to get hurt time and time again. So stop having this, nube rosa trips, this pitofitos rosas, dreams, imagination of that you're going to go on there earn respect, earn love, be loyal to by those that you are being loyal to. Because that's not going to happen. It's just not. And don't listen to me. Pay attention to the 1,000 people saying this. You know, I could be, I could be full of it. You know, that was the number one advice I told every camarada inside when they told me, like, what am I supposed to do? And look, first and foremost, trust yourself. Second of all, don't trust nobody. Period. That fool you call dog and you go to do rutina with and stuff, that's the fool that's gonna hurt you. And I used to straight up tell him, don't even trust me. You know what I mean? Don't trust nobody when it comes to this. Not game banging, because like I said, man, when you're on the streets game banging for something you grew up in, for those that you righteously have love for you, that's beautiful, man. But for that so-called sureño causa inside, it's just not there. And it's hurtful to me, but it's just facts, you know. It's just not there. Once you hit inside, you got no option but to boot up, suit up, and stay out the way, because believe me, 60% of the times you're in that mix, they're going to utilize you to clean their stuff. Or as a torpedo to catch life. For what? To chase around a dolphin's mental games, have it, their feria. You know, I've always been a really strong believer in every individual should always give himself his value. Don't look for another grown-ass man to look for your value. With this said, I hope I made sense, everybody. I'm on really strong medication, which I want to leave here soon because I hate being on something, right? It's just an extra problem I don't need. But I hope I made sense. Again, I send my love to everybody, my prayers. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. Muy buenas noches.